So we're here with Latifur Rahman from Bangladesh.
Right.
Welcome.
Thank you.
CEO of Transcom Group.
That's right.
And one of the recipients of the Business for Peace Award this year in Oslo.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting for us to just start out by hearing a little bit about you and how you got started and what you're doing today. Could you give us a short background?
Sure. Well, my family had been in business for a long time, since 1885, as a matter of fact. The original business was still, there's an involvement, is tea plantations. And in the 1960s, the family went into jute industry also, which was really the mainstay of the economy at that time. And in 1971, Bangladesh went through its, what we call the freedom struggle. And in December 1971, we achieved what in Bangladesh we call our liberation, total independence from Pakistan. However, in the structure in the country, the infrastructure really was in shambles, you can imagine, with extended war of liberation. And we were trying, or the country was trying to find a direction. And the political government of the day, early in 1972, I think it was in March, went in for a completely socialist economy, which meant nationalization of virtually all industries and businesses, minus the tea plantations. So we lost our jute industry, which was where I had begun my career. And with that nationalization, it was a big sort of a shock on the one hand. The tea industry actually was going through a disastrous financial situation, because prior to this Bangladesh coming into being, the teas used to be consumed by West Pakistan, which was then Pakistan later. So we had lost the market. So tea was being sold at a price which was well below production cost.
Okay.
So we went through what I would call a completely disastrous financial situation. And I was then looking at ways and means of, let's say, getting back on our feet. It was a big struggle. At the end of in 1973, about a year and a half down the line, I was fortunate to come in contact with a large Swiss company. And we went into a counter-trade operation with the government of Bangladesh and the Swiss company, and with myself acting as a go-between. And that was the start of what is now, let's say, the Transcom businesses. So that really helped me to get back on my feet and have an international connection. I think that would be if I were to say it in a very small nutshell, that is the essence. But what actually taught, or was very transformative, as I put it, for me, because in the context of the then society, I was well off. And then suddenly one found that you were without the financial security and comfort that one had got used to. It was no longer there. So the old adage that money here today and gone tomorrow really came true. But as I mentioned to you, when I got back on my feet a couple of years later, I now look back and say that was very fortunate in that sense. It taught me something that money is important, money is required. But as I put it, it's not the be-all or end-all of everything. Because I'd seen money, I'd seen it gone, and then fortunately come back. And one has to understand that maybe there is a responsibility which is just greater than, accumulation of wealth, which is important. Otherwise, you can't build a business.
Do you think that you would have arrived at that conclusion or had that reflection if the money had just stayed the whole while?
I don't know. I wonder. I really wonder. I probably may not have. I probably would have gone on, and maybe I'd have been, but I'm sure I would have been this period was, as I put it, very transformative. Because of going through that at a young age, it has had, I'm sure, some very significant influences and, change of how do you want to face life in future. So, no, I think that was a sort of a turning point, if you want to call it.
How would you say that what was going through your head at the depth of that when you were really standing there? I mean, I don't know if I can say that it's the lowest point, but at least the bank account was at its lowest, and that security blanket was gone. What sort of thought processes were?
Well, one was, as I said, I'm fortunate. I thank God that I didn't lose heart. That could have been the easy thing of, we've lost everything and give up. I don't know what it was, but fortunately, I probably had that desire to, keep going and try and make a fresh start. And it was clear that I had to do something to succeed. Also, you have to understand in our context, we have the larger family in Bangladesh, as in probably in many developing countries. And my father, who was then alive and who had provided me with the comforts and the thing with the businesses that were there, had retired and was unwell at that point of time. So, and he was retired. My younger brother and sisters were still in school and college. So one had this, and I had two small children myself, my wife. So, one had this necessity to do something for oneself and had to, how does one say, look after that my parents were also, not in financial difficulty. So maybe these were all factors that drove one to, keep going and not just give up and put your hands up and say, okay.
Right. So how would you then describe the responsibility that you see that business has?
Well, one of the things, as I said, that money here, gone tomorrow, and what you go through, I say in a place like Norway, or in a place like Europe, or many developed countries, even the United States, you do have what I call a social sort of a net. And if there is financial issues, financial problems, the social welfare, in a sense, takes over. But in our part of the world, in the third world, or the developing countries, and this is true even for most developing countries that I know of. I'd leave out Singapore is no longer a developing country; it's gone beyond that. the social security net is not there. So, to me, then it became, I guess, and I still believe, employers have a huge responsibility beyond just being an employer. And I've been privileged to, as I said, we got back and we grew to be employers. I mean, we have today about 10,000 people in our working in the group and growing, maybe 10-15% a year. If somebody loses a job, I'm not talking about somebody losing a job because he or she is incompetent or has done something wrong, but you hear of businesses collapsing or going down sometimes because they've not had corporate governance. Management inefficiencies have been there. And if X or Y or Z loses a job, it's not just that person losing a job, it's the entire family which we can be completely sort of devastated because they're depending on that income. And there is no fallback of society or the social welfare taking over. Hence, being an employer, this is my personal belief, it goes beyond just, paying a salary. I mean, one must try and do or run your companies or something where it's sustained and can grow over time. And to me, I think that means you've got to behave in a responsible manner. And otherwise, you can risk even employees losing their jobs. Your own financials can go wrong, but you have a responsibility, as I say, beyond just employing people and telling them to pack up and go tomorrow morning.
To that end, I mean, Bangladesh comes up quite a lot in discussions about larger global contextual issues like climate change and population growth and things like that. How much of a topic do you find that is at home in Bangladesh?
The climate change, I think, is there is a great growing consciousness about it, and there is an active discussion on this across society. Because, as you know, we are one of the countries that will probably be worst hit with global warming because of our sea level and being right at the on the mouth of the delta, where all the rivers of India, the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, they all go into the Bay of Bengal through Bangladesh. So we know that this is probably a life or death situation for future generations. So there is a growing consciousness, and Bangladesh would certainly have very deep interest in coming to what I would call a sensible position on this. Personally, just as we close, I mean, I deem this honor which I've come to receive as certainly for myself, but for the country, Bangladesh, as a huge sort of unexpected honor, and thank the organizers for giving Bangladesh a stage in the global economy. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you
for coming.